Okay. This is the first time we've had the press conference here in this room for, 2 years? So welcome back. It's great to be here, and Senator, and thank you for being here. Marie, thank you. Do you prefer Marie or Gina Marie?
Gina.
Gina. Neither one. Okay. All right. Thanks. So thanks again for joining us here today. And what all of us want to talk about is removing a barrier to public service by ensuring that student loan forgiveness is tax-free in Pennsylvania. Thousands of Pennsylvanians all across the Commonwealth have chosen careers that actually make a big difference. They've stood up, they've stepped forward, and they help make our state a better place by engaging in public service. We're here today to declare that Pennsylvania stands by the people who give up so much to do things for others. People who choose to go into public service. They don't do it for fame or for fortune, obviously. They do it because they want to make a difference in people's lives. And our Commonwealth relies on those public servants every day. We depend on our teachers who support students, who give them the skills and the confidence they need to succeed in life. We depend on our first responders, those who work tirelessly to keep our community safe in our worst moments. We depend on our nurses who fight to keep us and our communities healthy. We depend on the unseen work of so many others who devote their lives to helping others. They dedicate themselves to a career of service, and these Pennsylvanians are helping all of us by doing that to build a brighter future. So student loan forgiveness programs like the Federal Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and the Pennsylvania Student Loan Relief for Nurses Program were established in recognition of this basic fact. These programs were set up to help people who choose careers in public service to be able to afford careers in public service. As a Commonwealth, as a nation, we cannot afford for astronomical student loan debt to keep talented people from choosing to serve as teachers or firefighters or nurses. We need to make sure that financial burdens do not keep our best and brightest from taking on some of these most important jobs. And that's why these programs were created in the first place, to help people who have devoted their careers to public service to get out from under the crushing weight of student debt. In recognition of their service to our Commonwealth and our nation, we did this. The PA Student Loan Relief for Nurses Program was established to help nurses in Pennsylvania. Many heroic nurses in our state have worked tirelessly to fight COVID-19, to fight through this pandemic, and we want to help them continue in the nursing profession by relieving some of the burden of student loans. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program permits direct loan borrowers who make 120 qualifying monthly payments under a qualifying repayment plan while working full-time for a qualifying, I'm using qualifying a lot here, a qualifying employer, to have the remainder of their student loan balance forgiven. Qualifying employers include federal, state, local governments, as well as 501c3 nonprofits, includes the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps. And the Biden administration recently implemented changes to the program to have dramatically increased the number of people who can expect loan forgiveness in the coming years. And that's something we can all celebrate. And it caused us here in Pennsylvania to rethink how we handle student loan forgiveness when it comes to taxes. So I want to thank Senator Muth and her colleagues in the state Senate Democratic caucus, including Senators Lindsey Williams and Senator Steve Sanasiero, for bringing this to my attention and asking for a further review of our policies. Because while student loan forgiveness is not considered taxable income at the federal level, Pennsylvania has not always followed suit. And that's frankly dangerous for student borrowers now receiving loan forgiveness. They're in a sort of a stage of uncertainty. The problem is that student loans are typically forgiven in one lump sum. Now, if that's considered to be taxable income, with loan forgiveness often is, the borrower could be on the hook for a major tax bill that year. For example, if a Pennsylvanian had $50,000 of students loaned through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and if that forgiveness was considered taxable, they could have a state income tax bill in 1 year of over $1,500. The whole point of student loan forgiveness programs for public servants is that these people have chosen to serve the public, and often in lower paying fields because they want to make a difference. They don't have thousands of dollars lying around to pay a one-time tax bill. So it's wrong to take what should be a blessing and turn it into just another burden. So that's why today I am announcing that Pennsylvanians who participate in the Pennsylvania Student Relief Program for nurses, or if they're in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program from the federal level, they are not going to have to pay any tax on their loan forgiveness. They have worked hard. They have made loan payments, and they have earned the right to get relief from their education debt. And now it's not going to come in the form of any surprise from state government. I'm taking this action not only to help many families save hundreds of thousands of dollars, but also to free up money for families to spend that money on a car or on a home, pay off other debt. This is an important step for us to take to ensure that student loan forgiveness programs are actually living up to their promise, and that Pennsylvanians are not at a disadvantage compared to residents of other states. Student loan forgiveness programs recognize the importance of public service, and hard work. The stance that we're taking today just helps to make sure that those who give so much to the Commonwealth and other forms of public service, we actually do them some justice. They can continue to build their families and their lives. So thank you, and now I'm going to turn this over to Senator Muth. Senator.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today, and thank you, Governor Wolf, for your efforts and your administration's efforts, as well as the Department of Revenue, took swift action to make this vital change in this tax regulation. I also really want to thank Senator Lindsey Williams, as until 2020, she and I were the youngest people in the Senate Democratic Caucus, actually in the whole Senate, and had to update and educate our colleagues about the cost of tuition and the cost of student loan debt relative to interest rates. She and I both carry a hefty burden of student loan debt, and talk about this as a limiting economic factor. And for us to champion that issue, it's unfortunate she can't be here today, but I want to make sure that I recognize her, because she's been leading in this effort for a while. And I also want to thank all of the staff who worked really hard to make this happen, because it was a crunch time. This was brought to my attention. I always say I want to do a segment of 100 things I've learned since becoming a senator. It would be real interesting. But this would be one of them, is that to be hit with this massive tax bill after you've paid consistently and they're supposed to get this forgiveness, and not to mention you're paying more than you ever borrowed. So I know I can say for myself, I believe my interest rate is either 6 or 8%, and what I borrowed is what I'm paying on is a lot of interest. And so then you make it through all these years of paying it, and then you get hit with a big tax bill. It's egregious. So I think to be prepared for that is incredibly financially challenging, as the governor mentioned. So to make this change, I genuinely believe, and I'm sure Gina will say, that it is the Christmas miracle that many have been waiting for, as they have been hit with the consequences of Pennsylvania being an outlier, and now we're not. So it's a huge step in the right direction in eliminating this financial burden and access to education. And to have this kind of financial barrier is also harmful for our economy here. As the governor mentioned, it's difficult to purchase a home, save to buy a home, save to buy a car, have other economic advances in your life and your livelihood if you're constantly paying student loans and then having to be hit with a massive tax burden. So today's announcement is probably one of the highlights of my short time here in the Senate so far, because it's a good feeling, and to know that we're helping people in this moment is huge. And knowing that borrowers, I had my first constituent to come in 2019, I think it was February, was a nursing student whose mother was also a nurse, and she had gotten a scholarship, a basic student loan, and it still didn't cover her tuition costs, and had to take out an additional loan through Wells Fargo. And she came in with other students advocating for student loan interest rate reform, saying that her loan from Wells Fargo had a 13% interest rate tacked onto it. And so which really just blew my mind in the sense that a corporation can get a loan from Wells Fargo for nearly 1% interest. So sitting there looking at her, it's a very valid complaint, right? And so this is one way of helping people inadvertently with that interest rate debacle. So people that are going into these professions that truly do want to help people, this is a huge deal. So I just want to again say thank you to everyone who made this happen. Thank you to the Department of Revenue. And I want to introduce a Chester County resident of mine, Gina, and she's going to talk about her experience. She was one of several that reached out to our office explaining what was, going to happen if this fix wasn't made. So I think it's really important to hear her story. So thank you for being here today. And Gina?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Muth, and thank you, Governor Wolf. My name's Gina, and I'm a resident of Pennsylvania, and I'm a mom of two. I've worked at nonprofits for over 20 years. On October 6th, the Department of Education announced the waiver for public student loan forgiveness as part of the CARES Act to kind of rectify a program that has had up until then a 98% rejection rate. Despite my making loan payments and working full-time at a nonprofit for over 12 years at this time, Fed Loan had estimated I wouldn't be eligible for forgiveness until July 2023. All my loan payments that were made by the previous servicer wouldn't count. So less than a month after the waiver went into effect, I woke up one morning, I went to my Fed Loan website, and my loans were gone, just like that. I was shocked. It was amazing news, and I was truly grateful, and I am very, very grateful for that. But my joy was short-lived because I found out that even though it's not taxed at a federal level, Pennsylvania and Missouri are the only two states that tax it at the state and for Pennsylvania, the local level as well. So this April, I was due to pay state and local taxes at a rate of almost 3 times my salary. I just don't have that kind of money. Like many Pennsylvanians, I already work 2 jobs and I'm a single parent. Right now, public student loan forgiveness allows people like me to work at a nonprofit, but we do so at a substantially reduced rate. For example, I make 40% less than my peers who work at for-profit businesses. This tax places like an unfair burden on people who devote our time, hard work, and energy to provide services to our most needy citizens. And I just want to thank Governor Wolf and Senator Katie Muth and everyone else, because everybody I contacted was really, really helpful for this, and we all really appreciate it. So thank you, Governor Wolf.
I think, Gina, you did very well. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So I'll take questions, and Senator will take questions. Gina will take questions on topic, and I'll take off-topic questions in a gaggle afterwards. So, would you have on-topic questions?
I do.
Okay. Ooh.
I'm just trying to be clear here. So this is, you're forgiving, and this doesn't require the legislature. You can just do it, so it's done.
Yeah.
And it's not loan forgiveness. It's forgiveness of the state tax for people who have had to pay.
Yes. It's a little uncertain in the code, and actually, if you interpret it one way, you could say that just like any other loan, if you have a business loan and it's forgiven, that's ordinary income, and that's the way it is. And revenue could be forgiven for someone in the bowels of revenue interpreting and saying, okay, this is the way we ought to do it. This just really makes it clear that we're not taxing loan forgiveness on these public service loan forgiveness programs.
Has the number of people who have their loans forgiven spiked given the new program and the feds?
That's a good question. That I don't know.
I think it's 1,700-ish currently, like this cycle, meaning they're eligible.
They're eligible for it. Now, as to whether the department actually enforces it on all 1,700, I just don't have the answer
I think they should because this is just a change in the tax pool.
So this just makes it clear, we are not taxing loan forgiveness on public service. Make it clear, so no matter who is over there at revenue, this is very clear. Yeah, Jan?
I have a couple questions here. Does this apply only to these two programs for just 2020, or is it carry forward beyond your administration?
Yes, it carries forward. The hope is that there are other loan forgiveness programs that come in there. I think during the Trump administration, some of the federal loan forgiveness programs were actually slow walked. The Biden administration has actually gone back to recognizing these programs and implementing them. So it just makes this a much more relevant topic than it might have been a few years ago.
And to follow up on Dennis's question, so is this an executive order or regulation? I mean, how do you just make this change? Because doesn't this end up costing the Commonwealth some money because you're not going to be collecting taxes?
It's not clear how much this is, if anything, it's going to cost the Commonwealth. It's just really a clarification on what I think, at least in my administration, we've tried to do, but there have been exceptions. And so people have actually had the misfortune of having a loan forgiveness when they're doing public service, having it taxed. And we really shouldn't do that. We need to be consistent. So this is just saying, let's be consistent. This is an executive branch decision.
You had mentioned that this also, that folks have to pay local taxes on it. Does this also exempt them from having to pay local taxes on a particular amount?
I can't control what people do at the local level, but as in most cases, the local government follows state and federal practice. And as I think Gina said, the state really is an outlier here. Most states have followed federal practice in forgiving loans like this, or forgiving interest on taxes on loan forgiveness programs like this. Anything else? Okay. Oh, sorry.
To kind of follow up on Jan's question,
Yeah.
has anyone at the Department of Revenue expressed any concern that this will significantly impact the state revenue?
Not to me, no. Had anyone?
No, I think the Senate staff and the administration worked with the Department of Revenue to, don't quote me on this, but I think their regulations within the tax bulletin haven't been updated since 2009. So this was just another way of updating those through the tax bulletin. So they were a part of this conversation and obviously agreed to make this change.
And I don't think there's anybody in the General Assembly disagrees with this either. So I think this is just something that the senator brought to our attention and said, hey, really ought to do something about this, just to make it clear.
Yeah. And the individual forgiveness amounts, and any idea what we're talking about here per person? I'm sure it varies per person.
No, and that's what I said. I don't know what that number is. I don't think we have, it's been selectively administered and implemented, which makes it even less fair. But I don't think it's, in total, it's been a big number.
I think the average is, I want to say around $50,000 of this, like what you have as a Pennsylvanian in debt, but that you are paying on that for so many months, so it's not what's being,
And
the remainder is what's being forgiven in tax. So.
Senator, could you step to the mic, please?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I need to yell louder. I think the average Pennsylvanian carries around, I believe, I have in my binder, about $50,000 in student loan debt. Now, I can say Senator Williams and I have been candid about ours. It's double that in some because we've gone beyond undergraduate. But with that said, you're making those consecutive payments based on your income. So I can speak for myself in that, but prior to becoming a senator, I worked at Eastern University, working 1.5 jobs, and I made $37,500 a year. So my income-based payment plan was far different than what I pay now as a senator. So it would fluctuate depending on your income as you are repaying, but you make those consecutive payments, and then what's remaining after you would have that forgiven, and that's what that amount would have been taxed. So it could be if someone paid off 35 of the 50, it just is going to vary based on the level of education, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah, and the amount.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you.
Governor, I just wanted to follow up, and this specifically relates to the nursing home forgiveness program. I've written about that program that she's going to be administering. In response, some readers said, why didn't he just narrow in on the nursing profession? I just wanted to, I know that this is using federal money that, the $5 million is provided on forgiveness, but is it any thought being given to maybe offering, expanding the pool of people that would be eligible?
Yeah, on my part, there is, yeah. I can't speak for the rest of the General Assembly, but I think we all agreed that during the pandemic, there was a specific need to focus on nurses. But as you know, the Nellie Bly Scholarship Program is essentially a loan forgiveness program. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Gina, thank you again. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.